Hello, Rama Rama Pupodu. Hope all are in good health, feeling great, wonderful, having a relaxed life and peaceful. Now let's go to chapter 25, part 1. Friend of Bird and Beast, Ernakulam. At Shoranur, Ramdas met Shivaji Rao, who had come to escort him. For the first few days, he was put up at his house. Now, a remittance and a telegram came from Madhav Rao Kulkarni of Anjangaon requesting him to start immediately so as to be present at a religious celebration held annually in his house. But owing to the indifferent health of Ramdas, due to frequent attacks of malaria, even after reaching Ernakulam, the friends here resolutely stood against his travelling so to such a distant place as Sholapur. He had to submit, and the money having been returned, Madhavrao was duly informed by the friends through a joint letter that Ramdas' then condition of health did not permit of his travelling, and that he needed perfect rest for some time. Ramdas proposed to Sanjeev Rao to provide him with a dwelling place outside the town so that people who wanted to see him might visit him there and have talks with him. Soon a house about a mile from the town was pitched upon for his stay. A day prior to his shifting to his house, a friend, a pious Brahmin, came to see Ramdas at Sanjeev Rao's abode. Ramdas was sitting on a chair facing the entrance of the front room. The time was about 8 in the morning. The Brahmin ascended the first front step and stopped suddenly and stood stock still like a statue gazing at Ramdas. He possessed large eyes which looked at Ramdas with a winkless stare. A minute or two later, he came inside and took a chair beside Ramdas. He was still gazing on Ramdas. For 5 minutes, there was complete silence. Then he broke out into a speech. "Do you know," he asked, "why I stood on the steps gazing on you so intently? I shall tell you. I beheld a strange phenomenon. The moment my eyes rested on your figure, I saw a brilliant flame of light all around your body. It was a pure, dazzling light. I was transfixed at the sight. The light was there for a few seconds, and it vanished. And then I entered the room." Ramdas shifted to the house outside the town. It consisted of 3 small rooms and an open veranda. The house was situated in the middle of a garden of coconut palms. Ernakulam is a sandy place being close to the Arabian Sea, the shores of which are studded with beautiful coconut tops. The main produce of the land is coconut, out of which oil and other foodstuffs are extracted and exported in large quantities. In the evenings and mornings, visitors used to come to his retreat to see and have talks with him. They would put him questions on religious subjects, and he would, drawing upon his experiences, attempt to elucidate them. High government officials, wakils, and professors would also give him the joy of their society. The neighborhood in which he lived was of Christians, whose fowls and goats that wandered around had free access to the house. He would feed them with plantains and grains which he received as presents from the visitors. The pregnant hens would lay their eggs on his bedding at daytime, believing that they would be safe there. They clearly exhibited an anxiety to preserve and protect them from their marauding masters who would deprive them of their offspring still in the egg. But the sons of these masters would come to the house in search of eggs and would carry them off. One day a poor hen missed an egg from the bedding of Ramdas on which she had laid it. Ramdas at the time was sitting outside on the veranda. He was alone. The hen directly came to him with questioning looks and cried, "Ko, ko, ko," meaning, "What became of my egg that I laid on your bed?" "Mother, what can Ramdas do?" Ramdas replied, "The sons of your masters come here and take away your eggs in your absence." The same story would repeat itself again and again. When Ramdas was one morning feeding and talking with some goats, two Christian padris came to see him. Finding Ramdas' friendly intercourse with the animals, they spoke of the famous Saint Francis of Assisi, whose life, they said, was similar to the one which Ramdas led. The friends at Ernakulam desired that Ramdas should write this narration as a continuation of the first book, In Quest of God. He was provided with the necessary writing materials. Ramdas commenced to put down on paper this long story of his life, but gave it up after inditing a few pages. He had then, at the outset, jotted down the main points of the narrative on a scrapbook, and these notes, which were preserved, are utilized now for reference. Here, Ramdas was again joined by the Raja Yogi who had instructed him in the practice of pranayama. Among the visitors was a prominent Malayali Vakil, Narayana Menon, who took it into his head to adopt sannyas. He also received initiation to the practice of breath control, and the Raja Yogi began to deride at all other methods of concentration. Ramdas was holding up the repetition of God's name as the easiest and best path to reach God, while the Raja Yogi openly condemned this method and spoke of it despairingly to the visitors on whom Ramdas was impressing its importance. There was a clash. The visitors were perplexed, and Ramdas was at his wits' end, and submitted to the will of God, and God solved the problem in his own inscrutable manner. The Raja Yogi was residing in Ernakulam for a pretty long time, even before Ramdas visited the place, and he had freely and indiscriminately instructed many people in this practice, with the result that it worked a good deal of harm among them, and there was a rush of these people, unlettered folk, to this house, where they heard of the yogi state. They complained of heart palpitation, cough, loss of memory, wasting disease, and what not. This storm cooled down the ardor of the yogi. He stopped urging his pet method and also his instruction relating to the same. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Pupoda.